What's something you believed about money or business when you were 16 that turned out to be completely wrong?
Just show up at a job and you just work hard to get promoted. Your business doesn't actually pay you. The business is like this baby that just takes everything from you constantly. Time, attention, money, effort, life, everything, right? Health. And you just keep pouring everything into it until it grows and grows, and there's one day it starts to give back little bits and bobs. Time kills deals. That I try to tell everybody: if you leave something to simmer for too long, or you're not replying to someone in real time, and you're just not making business, you're actually giving opportunity for the other party to back off.
If you lost everything tomorrow and had to start again from scratch, how would you make your first 10,000 euros or dollars? Welcome back to episode 17 of Built From Scratch. My name's Daragh. I'm a 23-year-old that my main company is called Magnate. We're building the fastest messaging platform for busy people. We also have, Erik and I have a car park in Galway City called Sky Park. We take all online bookings, so we're going to be doing a bit of big noise with that in the next couple of weeks as well. We're talking about, and then we have the podcast as well. So that's kind of my crack.
Absolutely. My name is Erik. I'm 24 years old. I've kept Grafton Digital on. That was the company we've started with Daragh back in 2018 as two students just getting out there and seeing how we can disrupt the world. So with Grafton, we are doing digital transformation for enterprise businesses, and then we're in the software development and website development world also. Then I'm in the education space with Olive for Education. We're doing massive movements there. I've announced it on the last podcast officially that we are on a mission to put a device in every student's hands in Ireland. That's our mission. So watch this space, and then yes, we're in Sky Park. We're going to be doing some cool things there in the coming weeks. So keep an eye on socials. And thank you for supporting the podcast. I think we've hit over 100 subscribers there last podcast or something like that. So, really appreciate all support. So if you haven't already, subscribe and follow us, and give us feedback or any sort of content ideas you want us to pursue, because we're trying to mix and match and improve each episode that we're going into. So, we're very much focused on it and hoping to provide value for anybody that's listening. How are you, Daragh?
I'm doing good.
Welcome
Happy Sunday.
Back. Happy Sundays, right? We've downgraded the set, unfortunately, because we've had important business to attend to on Friday, but we'll be back in the studio next week.
Yes, we will. We were opening an event over on the East Coast, so it was good. It was a good event. But
did you enjoy it?
It was good fun. Yeah, it was good fun.
We all had our dancing shoes on. Well, I did anyways.
Yeah, I wasn't really dancing. I was making good first impressions. So
You're not the best dancer anyways.
I am not the best dancer.
Whereas I'm great.
We have studios booked every Friday. We couldn't make this Friday, so we're here shooting on a Sunday evening because we're committed to getting it out once a week.
Once a week, baby.
Okay, how's your week been?
My week's been amazing. It's St. Patrick's weekend was just a bit of a long one. We went out on Monday, started the week off strong, going into Tuesday. St. Patrick's was on Monday.
No, you said we went out.
I went out.
I didn't go out.
I went out. You were probably in the comfort of your own home, watching TV, feet up, fire on.
I was working Monday.
Oh, you were, yeah. Okay. St. Patrick's. But anyway, it was fun. Went out to Temple Bar, had a few drinks, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was busy enough in Dublin, had kind of an American delegation going on. The Olive Company's American delegates came over, CEOs, investors. It was Brendan, the chairman's 60th birthday on Friday, so everyone kind of came over. We've had a couple of workshops, getting a few things aligned, and then had a fantastic night on Friday, as I'm sure you remember.
Yes, I do.
I do too. Everything I need to. No, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. We celebrated his 60th in Wicklow, which is what part of the country? Well,
East Coast.
East Coast, yeah. So lovely part of the country, actually. If anyone's coming to Ireland, really recommend Wicklow to go to. Glenview especially, beautiful area. So that was my week, just hanging up in Dublin, a few meetings, but it was overall quiet but productive. What about you? How was your week?
I was in Galway all this week. I wasn't up in Dublin at all. Good. Just obviously we're launching end of April, so starting to pull together. We're doing our content shoot in a studio next Friday before shooting the pod in the same studio. So pulling all that together.
You've pulled Kevin Owens back on the production.
Yes, well, he has been for weeks or for a couple months now.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, so Kevin will be in studio for our podcast next week.
Wow, things are coming back.
He was our head of content for Grafton for a good while, and then he ended up.
He left me for a better boss.
So prepping for that. Excited about that. It's been interesting, just kind of looking at different industries that do launches and stuff, and how we can do it the best way possible. So. Excited about that. Nothing really other than that, just singular focus on that completely. There was nothing really else that stands out to me now, truthfully. So no, just a ton of work into that. So that'll be my next 4 weeks or so. So no, I'm excited. But no, other than that, no, we're up in Bray on Friday. That was good fun. And then took it handy Saturday, and then I've been working today since about.
Had to take it handy.
12. So. We're here now. And last episode we were doing questions from transition year students, and I suppose for any Americans listening, which we've actually a good US listenership. That's 16-year-olds ish. It's an optional year here in Ireland, and they sent in questions for us to answer. So what they wanted to ask two young entrepreneurs. So if you want to listen to the last episode, that was the first half of the questions. We're answering the second half today because I thought it brought out some funny stories that you and I had almost forgotten about and could also add some value. So what's something you believed about money or business when you were 16 that turned out to be completely wrong?
Oh wow. What's something I believed about money when I was 16 and I turned out to be completely wrong?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. What I believed at 16, everything was a lie about money. Like I thought you just show up at a job and you just work hard, you get promoted. I don't know. Like I probably was desensitized to money in a sense of like I didn't understand it. I didn't have any emotions towards it because I didn't have any. So I don't know. I didn't really have too much kind of thoughts. Did you have thoughts when you were 16 around money?
No, not like I definitely know I wanted to chase business because obviously I started posting content on YouTube when I was 15, 16. So I definitely was like, I want to start a business, but I remember I didn't know what business to start. So it was Gary Vee that was like, just start posting content, like learn some skills. And I was kind of like, I remember even sitting in my playroom Googling best business ideas to start.
I think we've all done that, let's be honest.
So
how to start a business, what's the best business names?
And I got and harassed Dad. I'm like, what if I cut all the neighbours grass? And Dad's like, you don't own a lawnmower.
To be fair, Peter is dead right.
And he was like, me and your uncle own one, so if you want to do a deal with us, you do it. Yeah.
Wow, that's actually brilliant, Loki, isn't it?
Yeah. No, he was like, so fuel and owning one, like we've got some challenges here for that business. So I was like, fair enough. I'll shut my mouth. But I definitely just had no perception at all about money or business or anything. Like I know this is 18. You were 18 when this happened, but I know you believed that like you could just like start a business and that was just like fun to pilot school. I remember.
I just thought you're just like, oh my god, every business owner is a millionaire. Let me just become a business owner. It'll sort all my problems that I've ever had.
Side project. Working two jobs. I'll just...
It was totally a side project. There was a time at the very start where Daragh and Jack wanted to kick me off the company because they were like, Eric doesn't do anything here. Eric's just here for fun.
Yeah.
And not even when he shows up. Because I was busy with my two jobs, and then like I just think I was also in a zombie mode of like just working so hard that I was constantly in a burnout. And like I was earning really good money at the time. Like I'd say when I was 18, I was probably making like 40,000+ euros a year.
Yeah. Which
is like really good at 18,
really good.
Just coming out of leaving cert, just finishing high school.
Yeah.
So like I've always had a bit of money, and I went through like a huge lifestyle inflation where for first things I've done is I bought all the hype beast stuff like Off-White, good shoes, I went through it all at the start. And like you end up having no money because you realize when you start a business, your business doesn't actually pay you. The business is like this baby that just takes everything from you constantly: time, attention, money, effort, life, everything, right? Health. Yeah. And you just keep pouring everything into it until it grows and grows, and there's one day it starts to give back little bits and bobs. But it's, oh my god, anything you expect or think about, just multiplied by 5. That's starting a business.
Time and money.
Money, everything. Emotions, physics, everything. Oh my God. Yeah.
I know one of the ones I heard recently, Elon Musk said, starting and owning a business is like staring off into the abyss and chewing glass. And what he means is staring off into the abyss is there's no light, there's no hope, and you're just staring off and you hope something might be out there.
Oh my God.
And chewing glass is the biggest problems and the most difficult issues always rise to you, no matter the size of the organization. If your team can't solve the most difficult challenges, it always goes up the chain until it hits you. You only have the hardest problems while also keeping the business alive. And that's what chewing glass is just like, it's the most difficult. You're chewing glass. So it's like, he's like staring off into the abyss, chewing glass. And I was like, that's a good one. When I heard it explained to me, when I first heard it, I went, what the hell does he mean by that? But when someone explained it, I went,
absolutely.
That's a good one.
Absolutely. Like, I think the big thing you have to, if I was to answer straight, is you just have to have no expectations about money, and you have to have the utmost respect for it when it comes. I think so many people just don't respect it and just become really immune to the fact of how they've gotten to where they are and lose the whole objective goal of entrepreneurship, and that's to continuously create and build and move on and motivate and give back. Like, there is a cycle, I feel like, of a business owner that goes into, the whole stages, sells his business, invests into other businesses, helps recreate the whole founding circle. I think if you can do that and if you can stay in it, that's the game for you to continuously do that. And, look, you invest in 20 businesses, one will pop off and pay you 36x, and there you are, right? So diversification necessarily isn't, the ultimate way of success. I hear a lot of people thinking you need so many businesses to run to be successful, and it sounds controversial because I am in many businesses from an outsider perspective, but I'm actually in one business, and that's technology and marketing in a way, right? Because like Sky Park, it's a piece of real estate we've taken. It's totally digitally transformed. There's no person working in the car park. The car park operates in an online booking system. You book in advance of 10 minutes of your arrival, and you have a space guaranteed. And all we're doing is marketing it and using the technology that we've built over times, right?
That's all partnerships, actually. So we all have
It's all partnerships, right? It's just door-to-door business. Yeah. Grafton Digital and Olive for Education is the one business. It's technology consulting and digital transformation of industries. It's not necessarily, I'm not wearing different hats of one day I'm a real estate agent and no, I'm just using digital technology to innovate real estate, education and B2B business. So it's actually very easy. I have one job, and that's just to continuously stay on top of trends, build a team, and to execute. So that's and it's a roundabout answer of what we've learned about money. But for me, it's definitely been be patient and respect it when it comes, because oh man, like, it's tough. It's a tough game to be in, and you have it one day and you have nothing the other day. I've seen so many examples of that. From we've had the pleasure of meeting quite a few billionaires over the time, and even talking to a couple of good business magnates on Friday. The stories we hear from boom or bust moments regularly, it's just like it's not really real, is it? No. It's kind of an illusion, and everybody's trying to turn that illusion into something physical, like a house, like a car, like a nice watch. So it's it's a massive poker game, the whole system. No,
totally. And we heard some people at the very top of the game on Friday, and they're still just trying to figure it out. It's all just that game. But no, 16, knew nothing about money. I think I just went after just building skills that actually could be transferred into business, which I started with online content, and that's what we're currently doing. This is 8 years later, so I'm kind of doing online content, and it's
fun. I always wanted to do YouTube videos with you, but I started as your editor, and now I'm your co-host. So moving up in the world.
Exactly.
And I couldn't edit a video.
No, I never got that video. You were supposed to shoot and edit it.
Yeah, but I'm a great networker.
You're a really good networker.
See, I spotted talent from there.
What is the weirdest advice someone gave you about business that was actually kind of right?
Oh man, That's a really good question.
I actually thought they were about to say what was wrong, and like, I think what I know the advice I would say if I was wrong. It was someone that told us to be the local lads in Connacht that.
I remember that. Yeah.
That like be the local lads now that build all the websites, and you'll do very well.
Yeah,
and we're like, that's not what we want.
And the logo to be glasses, to be a bit nerdy. I remember that conversation.
And I'm like, for what you see us as, totally I get it.
Yeah,
but that's not what we want to build. We want to build big companies. Weirdest advice someone gave you.
That's a funny one. That was actually right. I'll be honest, I got a lot of good advice. I was very lucky that I've always gotten good advice, and the bad ones I was always able to differentiate not to use. Probably the weirdest advice I've gotten that turned out to be totally right is stop having red dress moments in business. By red dress moments, I mean in terms of some opportunity coming up and you're seeing it as, oh my God, I need to focus on this because this is so much more valuable. And you end up having a squeaky bum time real fast. I remember I've had this opportunity that I've totally undermined how much effort I need to put in. Back in 2021 with Grafton, when I flew to Abu Dhabi within a week's notice to set up the franchise of Grafton Digital, and I got to meet some real powerful guys on the ground there who are local Emiratis, and they had massive empires. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I've lost my cool in a way where I got so excited. I've undermined how much effort that needs to go in. The business back home wasn't in a position for it to expand and to put a load of cash resource into a new country expansion. There were so many things going wrong, and I went against the advice of this individual of not having red dress moments. I was like, no, this is the right one. I'm just going to go for it. I thought it was great, and it wasn't, because I didn't evaluate it. I didn't sit down, step back. I just went for it. And the whole went for it piece, I think, works at the start of your business. But as you get bigger and you have more risk of losing that existing momentum, contacts, network, and just to go and bust open a new door, it's like, hold on a second, let's refocus and keep your eye on the path, right? So I think that was one of the best pieces of advice that I have, cherished over the last number of years, where I'm not running after any new opportunities. I'm just focusing on what I have and growing that and expanding that. If I see it fits in my portfolio of expertise or businesses, I might look to invest or might look to pursue, but other than that, I won't touch it.
Yeah, no, I remember the Abu Dhabi time, because it definitely, like, the way it was laid up to us was a good op, but once you actually, once pen was going to be put to paper, it was like, we're going to own a fraction of this and we're basically going to be employees.
It's
not
worth
funded.
Their time.
Yeah, it was supposed to be well funded, great project to start with. Not true.
Yeah.
The one on my front, which I definitely didn't listen to, and it definitely cost me at least a couple of months during this Magnate process, was get product in people's hands way faster. I did not listen. I was like, I wanted to be
perfection.
And also then, like, going on absolute tangents. Like, we built out a full calendar function inside Magnate, which was built out enough that it worked, but it was still kind of trash. And it actually turns out when you put them back in people's hands, people don't even like it, because it's not good enough. It needs to be so much better. And if I had just, like, not gone on that tangent, I probably right now would be like 6 to 8 weeks ahead. Right. And on a 9-month project, that's 2 months saved. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that means we shipped in January, February instead of April. So again, in the context of life, and again, look, at Magnate, it's at least a 10-year game with me in my own head. So 2 months, not the end of the world. But I should have just put it in people's hands faster. Yeah. And instead of like just being like, okay, let's just knock off a load of these surface level, let's just focus on a couple things and do it really well. And again, this is all stuff you hear about business and the things, if you listen to content, they say it. But I definitely learned the lesson the hard way. We're going way deeper in functionality on Gmail, way deeper in functionality in Slack, to make sure they're really both great. So we're actually only going to launch with Outlook, Gmail, and Slack. Really good, even though Teams and WhatsApp are basically already there, but they're not great. Got rid of the calendar off the current dashboard. Tasks are there. They're very straightforward, truthfully. We're going to launch with that and really do that well. But again, my big learning was, if I could go back again, because I applied for something recently and it asked if you could start this journey again with this current company, what would you do? And I'm like, I would ship quicker.
Much quicker. Yeah.
So, because in my head, I'm like, because again, Magnate actually started as a Gmail plugin. I don't know if you even remember this.
I do.
And we were building that. We had that email plugin built before Gemini and Copilot. Then they shipped, and then it went, oh well, I guess I'm building a whole platform, because the MVP was supposed to be the email plugin, and then it was going to be a full platform with justification. But by the time we were even able to ship the email plugin, they'd launched, and that's much better.
Yes.
So we went, okay, well, I guess it's full platform now, and that's what we've been doing. But anyways, ship faster, get it in people's hands, and just kick people off the fence. Because if I'd done that faster, I think I would have definitely saved a good few tangents that I definitely didn't need to do.
Absolutely. One of the cool things I've heard from Ryan Serhant is time kills, and then put in the word that it kills. So time kills deals, for example, is one of my favorite things now that I try to tell everybody. If you leave something simmer for too long, or you're not replying to someone in real time, and you're just not making business, you're actually given opportunity for the other party to back off or not engage. So it's the same thing in shipping a product. It's like you got to do this now, and the more we wait and the more we don't do a certain thing and we're just pushing it down the line, the more we're going to kill this. So it's like, how do we get there and actually make this happen? So I totally hear that. I think we all, as perfectionists or want to be perfectionists, sometimes sit on it too long, and sometimes you just need to go and execute. Ultimately that's what's going to push the needle forward, right?
Totally. And deadlines will really make teams as well. Like, deadlines are healthy as well, as long as you have the resources. We had a lot of part-time people doing internships with us, which definitely meant the timelines are pushed. But now that we have a full-time team dedicated, things are turning around much faster. Things I can stand on top of it, which has been a big change for us as well. But big one is ship faster. If you lost everything tomorrow and had to start again from scratch, how would you make your first 10,000 euros or dollars?
Easy. I would pick up the phone and I would call the top 5 people I've done business with over the past few months, and I'd say, hey guys, I'm doing this. Will you guys back me? Will you guys buy from me? So I would just go back to my network, because ultimately that is your network.
No, take away your network.
So no network.
I
just have to make 10 grand.
You have skill. You got the skills you have.
What skill do I like? The current skills.
You literally
product, digital.
Your phone. Let's say you're dropped in a country.
Yeah.
You've got no phone.
Yeah.
You can't reach out to any of your network.
Okay.
You have the skills you have right now today. You need to make 10 grand. How are you doing it? Because it's too easy for you to pick up the phone.
Can I speak the language?
Yes.
Oh, that's easy. You know what? I would actually pick up a random industry I've never been in before. So I would do something like I would find a rich estate, and I would go knock on doors, and I would ask the guys what type of service would they pay for, or what's missing in this area. And I would take, let's go to an estate. There's 10 houses. I'd take probably 3 people will slam on the door. 2 or 3 people will actually engage with me, and the rest might just tell me something just to blow me off, right? So, but I would take what's there from what the guys want that actually engage with me, and I would make that business happen. So, for example, mobile valeting service, cutting lawns, buying, importing cars, whatever your problem is. Because you're wealthy and you will pay for time, and I need to make 10 grand really quick, we're in perfect. I will hustle. I will find the local car dealer. I will find where to buy a lawnmower. I'll finance it. I'll tell the guy I'll give him $100 every week just to buy this lawnmower. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I'd go to the rich guy's estate, and I would go talk to all of them and see, hey, how can I solve your problem, and how much can I make off that?
Yeah, no, I like that one.
I seen actually a guy that went. This was just on Instagram. I was just scrolling, and I seen one of the guys got interviewed by. When they ask you, hey, what do you do for a living? Yeah. And the guy goes, solar panels. It's like, and the guy goes, how'd you get into that industry? One day, I was walking down the street, and I was flat broke, and there was a guy on the roof, with a load of vans, working away on the roof, and I asked the guy, hey, what are you doing? Hey, I'm installing solar panels. And he goes, how much are you getting paid for that job? $15,000. And he goes, how much will you do a job for me? $10,000. So the next day I went to every single house, and I knew how to subcontract. So I pick up the phone to the guy and say, I'll give you $7.5 grand, and I'll take $7.5 grand for myself, and we're going to do solar panels. And he made like $2 million the year before. He was literally flat broke, trying to figure out how to do it, and he asked the man on the roof how he's making his money.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's great initiative, to be fair, and execution at its best. So I'm like, I would 100% do the same.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. Where my head went immediately, I really like what you said there. I think it's really good. Is I love what Richard Branson did with business. Is that when he wanted to get into new industry, he'd poach number 2 COO or CCO of the biggest players or the second biggest player in the market, and go, I'll give you a stake of equity and go after this. So I probably pick an industry, something like insurance, which makes that is like notoriously lucrative in the sense that it's the industry with the highest likelihood of people generating wealth out of starting companies in insurance. I go to someone there, high player, and be like, hey, I know tech. I'm like, what could disrupt the hell out of it? Or how could we build a current company you work in but have a lot of systems that's already just systematized, and take everything, take your contact book, and let's turn this straight into a business and go poaching. And I think if you knocked on a few hundred doors, I feel like one guy might go, I'll go do that with you. So that's probably what I do, because you need someone with industry knowledge. And then like if he had a contact book, because especially like real estate and insurance, a lot of them have their own contact books as well. So if you just poach one of them
and go get in,
that's probably what I do. I'd come in
Smart.
as a tech guy. That's the way I would probably approach it anyways, because I think you could build a company quite quickly off of that. So yeah, that would be how I'd approach it.
Yeah, your one's a bit easier than mine, but
mine
sounds a bit more fun.
Well, no, yours
and
is
random.
but also like I feel like yours is a faster cash turnaround. Mine would take a while. So like like. If you're talking,
I'm not going to go wait around for 10 grand now. You know, like I want about 10 grand real quick.
No, because when you answered, like, you just pick up the phone. I'm like, that's too easy. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for how would you do it? How should they do it?
Fair, yeah.
And you've also got skills that they don't have as well, which is kind of just the goal to be like, I'm going to go do that. So this 2 parts of this question: how much does an entrepreneur make? And do you actually work 16 hours a day?
Great question. I feel like an entrepreneur makes a quantity of money that the weight of the problem they solve.
Yeah.
So you will see that, for example, aviation CEOs are not entrepreneurs necessarily, but Michael O'Leary is, for me, a cold-hearted, true entrepreneur, like a great entrepreneur in one sense, right? Absolutely disrupted the aviation low cost airline business. And you'll then see Boeing CEO who's under scrutiny all the time, making millions of dollars, a year just to be the chief, and then the employees make no money. I feel like the difference there is Michael is actually like really, really cash rich, and then the other guy is really, really income rich, right? Because Michael solved the problem. The CEO of Boeing just, representing the solving of the problem. I feel like you don't get into entrepreneurship. It's the wrong mentality to come in and to make money, to spend the money. You come in because you want to make the money to change your life and then the people around you. That's usually the hustler culture. Once you get past the hustler culture that, okay, I've looked after X, Y, and Z person, family, friends, I've done this, I've had a bit of experience in this. That's your lifestyle. Like, to be like a real big entrepreneur, now you need to go out there and solve a problem at a larger scale or to scale your business. Which I think is 2 separate mindsets, and it's huge growth in between. I feel like to be an entrepreneur, you cannot mix up the word CEO, right, and the entrepreneur word, because they're 2 separate. Most of the time, I could see people that would be really good CEOs but could never go through the brutal reality of starting a business, losing everything, giving up your health. You're putting everything at risk all the time. Most people couldn't actually do that. Hence, there's only a handful of people each year recognized, the 30 under 30 or your Forbes rich list. There's only so many people that actually get recognized globally for, creating a business, becoming a billionaire. So I'd be saying it's depending on how much are you willing to put in and to lose at the same time. I know a guy, we have a mutual friend at the moment who's at the risk of losing like $400 or $500 million. because he's spread very, very thin, but he's built an awesome empire, and on paper it's the best, but he kept going, and now he's like figuring out how do you stabilize it. And I mean, $400 million is a lot of dosh. So, I mean, it can be whatever you want your salary to be. That's your entrepreneurship, but God, you have to work really hard, and you have to solve a big ass problem to get paid that salary. I don't know, that would be my perception of it. Yeah. It's just very hard to quantify. We all, I think there's this weird perception of if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, you make a lot of money, and like you go on this all the time, like holidays. Yes, we treat ourselves. You know, we do, like I think entrepreneurs are known to work really, really hard and then buy an asset, or, you know, buy something fun like a really nice car, or have a nicer home than other people, or have other things, right? But the background of that whole how did they get there is so like not looked at. You know what I mean? It's just overlooked. That's the word. So I'd be saying I think what you're interested in is how much do me or Daragh would make, right? But I won't be saying it on camera. No. I make a good living. But I would be saying 100%, if you want to be making a lot of money, and that's what you are looking for, solve a problem that will impact either a lot of people or impact a small amount of people really, really well. That's how you'll make a lot of money. For part A of that question.
Yeah, totally. And like, again, like entrepreneurs can make zero, or they can make 20 grand a year or 40 grand a year. And you know, the funny thing is, a lot of entrepreneurs, depending on how good the business is doing, depends how much money you make. And you know, a lot of the times, even
it's seasons.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
and there can be really good years and really bad years. Like, it's not like a large company where it's like, okay, you get in at 35 grand a year and it's 5% but increase year over year. You jump roll, here's the amount. Or public sector, where you can see your next 20 years of income of what that will be. It is completely at the discretion of, well, one, how well is your business doing? And two, what season of business? Are you yanking money out of your business because you're like, I'm taking money off the table, which is completely okay? Or am I reinvesting, allocating, you know, am I taking roles away from myself so I can focus on other areas? Am I expanding new parts of the business?
Right.
So again, how much the entrepreneur makes depends on what season they're at and where they are. And again, the one thing Eric said, an entrepreneur and a CEO are not always the same thing. A lot of the time, big businesses are not the same thing. Like, Richard Branson is not the CEO of every Virgin company. You know, Elon Musk is technically CEO of most companies, but he's got co-CEOs that actually run those companies. You know, he is more like a president probably, or chairman or whatever.
Right.
But he keeps the titles of CEO because I think he likes it. But yes, and again, you hear this thing of like, oh, Jeff Bezos makes like $1,000 a year or $50 a year, whatever the minimum amount is. Yeah, because they're getting loans against their equity to live off of, that they constantly just keep.
It's such a different world, and
totally.
It's just such a different world.
Like most companies, some crazy stats at one time that like 90+% of businesses never do over 250,000 euros a year or dollars a year.
Really?
A lot of businesses don't. Yeah. Like, think about a lot, because most of them are like, someone started a company, they had a side hustle, they make a few bob, or they do a little bit here and there, and they never do anything with it. You know, if you think about like every company ever registered. But yeah, it can be like 5 grand a year, or it can be 5 million, or it can be 50 million a year. And we've met people at all levels of that as well. So yeah, again, like, I think the main thing is just to focus on gaining a skill, because entrepreneurship can be any sort of money. Nothing's wrong, and we've met people at all levels.
100%. I think one of the things also is, like, an entrepreneur and anyone in business, one thing they'll always spend money on is time-saving measures or investments to free up their own schedule, or to get something faster. Yeah. And that's like what you're really, really working towards, is to be able to hire people that are working to help you unlock time where you are better at them, for example, but the role you hire them for is they are better in that role than you.
Yeah.
So, and that's just a matter of like, how do we make this as efficient and as scaling as possible? Yeah. So that's mad. This $250,000 is what most businesses actually make a year.
What I heard, so the 16 hours a day, I know there's this whole thing about that entrepreneurs, and again, like work all the time. And again, I think for most of us, our businesses are always on our mind. We're always just...
But work is so subjective.
Yes.
You know, because like some people think like work is sitting down at a desk typing and doing proposals. Yes, that's work. I call that like my 9 to 5 work. Okay. But business owners probably tend to have this subjectively good or bad quality of never being able to switch off, because you're always thinking of your current circumstance, where you want to be, how you're going to play a certain scenario. You're overthinking the whole time. You're doubting yourself the whole time. You're switched on all the time, right? Therefore, you have like less time to think about other things than work. So I would always argue that the 16-hour like mark is about how much of the day is business on your mind, or how, like, because like sometimes I could have a coffee and I could have like the best thought ever. Is that mindfulness for work, or is that just like having a coffee and coming up with an idea and then executing it at work? You know, because I would say technically like on my like day job of doing emails or doing things like that, I probably only work 3-4 hours a day. But like at length of me talking to people, having coffees, networking, you're thinking about how to do things, strategizing, going on a walk, doing all that just to free up my mind, keep my body healthy. It is work. Like I would classify myself as a workaholic because I really enjoy what I do, but I work all the time. So therefore I would say, yes, I technically work 16 hours a day, but I don't class it as the work that you might class it as.
Yeah, no, and I think it's also the season of business you're in as well, because you have fully scaled out teams. So
yeah,
I think it's like, you know, like currently with Magnate, we've got, including my co-founders, 4 of us full-time in the business. So like things just get delegated more, and we have some part-time people doing some work as well. Like it's just like when you start the business, you do everything, and then as you bring people on, they take chunks of your work. And preferably they're better than you. One I heard recently, which I think is so right, I've seen, is like A players hire A players, B players hire C players, because they're intimidated by anyone who's the same level as them being caught out how good or bad they are. But anyways, I definitely look at it like, especially in a smaller company than what you're dealing with currently, is that like it's everyone is just taking time away from you, but it's also just leveraging it. So you do a meeting with your entire team across, let's say, Olive and Grafton, and you point everyone in one direction. Everyone, you have 20, 30, 40 people all focus on one direction that you've chosen. That's a huge amount of leverage.
Exactly. And you also get to where you need to much faster.
Yeah.
Because it's like putting horses in front of a cart.
Yeah.
And the more horses you have, relatively, you could run faster for longer.
Totally.
So,
those 16 hours, and the reason that you're willing to trade off and hire this person to go there, or hire that chef to do it, is because each of your hours, if pointed in the right direction, can be so high leverage. That one idea, like, you know, like even like one example is that one thought I had on the phone with that Airbnb person has now generated thousands of euros from the car park. And that was one idea.
It was brilliant.
And and that was literally, I asked one question, and that one question, that one thought, and I probably spent about an hour messaging Airbnb host, and then obviously some comms afterwards. Like thousands of euros.
Yeah.
And but that's the example of a business of like one idea can, and like that's a lower leveraging. That was maybe a few thousand euros. You know, an idea can be like, you know, my idea for Magnate can be worth lots more, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it sounds lofty, and I've always been kind of a maths head and very logical person. It sounds super lofty for someone to say, oh, well, ideas and thinking and brainstorming, having conversations is work. That's not work. You're just pretending to work. No, because the ROI and the leverage of all these people can be so huge that it is actually working.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, like between, like for the last 8 months, relatively, right? You know more insight than most people would. But between all the businesses I'm involved in, we've built a pipeline, an executable pipeline of 10 million plus euros worth of business in 8 months. And that was just like changing mindset, activating everything we've got, going on the road, knocking on doors, building out opportunities, and boom, you like able to multiply the business like really, really fast. And I think like it's like the whole seasonal ship of this, and to wait for that right moment and to capitalize on that moment. Now it's like no doubt it's the largest chunk of cookie I've ever bitten into, but it's a lot of fun. And if we pull it off, like great, you know, like no complaint. So I love the journey of growth and challenge. And actually, like, I had a little bit of a session with our chairman at Olive for Education, and he said something very, very valuable to me. I was like, Brennan, what is the secret to your success? And he was like, I was like, what does that mean? He goes, listen more than talk. I was like, oh, interesting, okay. And he goes, I always just go into a room and I listen, and I only speak when I feel like I need to speak, but I don't speak because I want to be the guy that is speaking. I was like, wow, that's like cool. I was like, and how do you apply that on your like day to day or like business or anything? Like, he's like, you gotta hire other people to speak for you, right? You gotta hire other people that listen for you, and you gotta be the listener of all them, and you only speak to the one guy at all times, and that's how you scale a multi-billion-dollar business. Like, okay, I'll take that. So I'm applying it as much as I can. I cherish that one too.
That's real gold, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And it's interesting. Like if you said that to us 4 years ago, we couldn't.
But we wouldn't know where to apply it.
Yeah.
Like you gotta learn. You gotta have like some battle scars, and you gotta like go through a lot of like stuff to be able to apply advice like this, and to be able to value a person like a veteran sitting across you on the table.
Yeah.
When like you're young and you think you can do everything, and you see like a load of people on Twitter just like, I've opened an e-commerce store and in 3 months I'm making 100k a month. I mean, it's just not real, you know. And when you now like me and you can sit down in front of a person and listen to their story, know what we would love to hear, what we can resonate with and gel with, you know, and like that like makes us, like gives us a bit of fuel to run longer. It doesn't give you much more, but to run, motivation to run longer. And it's like, hey, you're not the only one with this problem at this time. Like, these people have already doing it. These guys are laughing at us going through these problems. Like, I mean, laughing at us. They're like, they're worrying about over X, Y, Z. Like, we worried about that 10 years ago. So
20, 30, 40 years ago.
You know, so it's like great to be able to pick up the phone and be able to have those conversations, because they save you a lot of money, time, and stress. So you got to stress less and do more.
Yeah,
realistically.
No, like I've been laughed at many times by the real vets, and I love being around them.
I actually really enjoy getting laughed at by them, because it's like it makes you feel small, and like I think your circle, you should always be like the up and coming person in business, that like least amount of money, least amount of contacts, most amount of time to make it work. You know, that runway is important. And like have the best friggin' attitude to make it work. You know, like if you have those and you're in the right circle, all you gotta do is just listen.
You're gonna win. Okay, we have 3 questions left. I think we should do some quick fire for the last 3.
Okay.
We'll keep it a little briefer, but I'd like to get to answer all the questions. So, what did you both sacrifice during your journey, and was it worth it?
Great question. I think we've sacrificed quote unquote youth in the fact of we had our fair share of going out, night outs, partying, having great fun, traveling, doing everything. Probably not as much of than anyone else. Therefore, like, speak for myself, but I think you can relate, is like, you know, when you go to university and you build up like a good circle of friends, maybe a larger social circle, you know more people in that scene, like you have more opportunity to have friends and to do all that. I'm like, we didn't have that. We had each other in a small group of lads that we would have gelled with all the time. And we'd have gone for night outs or Airbnb trips in Europe or whatever. So I think that's what, like, youth in that sort of in that term we sacrificed. Time, like, also like a bit of like health and weight. Like, I think like even now I'm like I've gained so much weight because I've just been like really gone like all into tiring my mind to not go as much to the gym that I should. And I've been saying it. The reason I'm saying this because I want to call myself out to go to the gym. Eric, you need to show up more. But yeah, definitely put every single euro and reputation into the friggin' business as well. Not necessarily sacrifice, but we've invested it. You know what I mean?
Same. Depending on where you look at it.
So, but I would say that, like friendships, a big time, sacrificed a lot of friendships, and it was by choice, and over time it became easier to get past it. But friendships and friends and circles were a big one for me, anyways, because I would have always been, not saying like a social person, but I always liked going out, and I always had a couple groups of mates to do bits with, and then like that disappeared, so now just literally like a select few and just keep it at that. But that's probably the main parts of it, like, of course at times like you sacrifice like being with family members at important times, seeing your family members for more because their time is limited. All our times are limited on earth. So I'm like, that's one thing I nearly wish I would have spent more time with mum and dad, done more holidays with them, done all that. Now I still have perfect opportunity to do it, but like it's like those years are now gone, so that would be from my angle.
Yeah, no, I definitely think we definitely forfeited our youth. Like any of our mates that were in college, having this like carefree, like can go hang out, can spend hours just doing basically nothing.
Yeah,
I know even when I was younger, I definitely always had this. If I wasn't explicitly working, I felt guilty. I was like, I'm losing everything. Like, oh my god, like I'm not gonna.
Someone's over my head. Yeah, and like, I need to go to work.
I'm like I feel so guilty now. And again, I don't really have that as much.
Daragh back in the day would be the first person in the office. You'd come in, he would have already read 1 or 2 pages of his book. He would have gone to the gym, done something to make me look like a total loser. Would have always been a morning person, there with his coffee. Good morning. I'm like, I'm just out of bed. Yeah. And I'm late. Yeah. I remember Daragh used to be so upset with me. Remember when I was late continuously?
Always, yeah.
Like you used to nearly like hit me. Like I was like, come on, Eric. Like, what's going on? Like, we've got to lead by example. So I've gotten better over time.
No, you have.
But
but definitely the youth part and like being carefree. I think we forfeited that for what we're doing. Like I definitely look at myself and like even footage of myself around that time, and I'm like, okay, yes, I was still a kid, but like we had to act like adults all the time, and that came out in weird ways.
That's exactly, but like that's why like I mean, like my mates are over 50. Yeah, who I would like hang around with and talk with, because I can learn so much. My brain gets stimulated by talking to them. I don't get really stimulated by talking to, on a Saturday evening, talking to a 22-year-old about his drinking stories, last weekend. Yeah. It just doesn't gel with me. And,
totally.
For ages I thought, Jesus, I must be boring or something. No, I was just in the wrong circle, because, like, the guys I hang around with talk about business, like markets, and really cool things and really cool stories as well all the time. And every time I come away from the interaction, remember me and you have this way of measuring interaction, how we walk in and how we walk out of that. And I come out like recharged or energized or motivated. And then when I hung around with people I no longer hang around with, I came back drained. Felt like I lost the hour or the 2 hours. Like I felt my time was lost or disrespected. And that really annoyed me. And I kept coming in and doing the same thing. But since changing that, I've just felt much more happier in the sense of my circles.
Like I every interaction I walk away from, I go, how do I feel about it afterwards? And like in New York, some of the conversations I had, I was so fired up leaving. Or even like Friday evening, someone hears some of the stories, I'm like, that's so inspiring, and 2, like amazing stories. I just feel so inspired leaving, and like you said, just a bit of extra fuel in the gas tank, a bit of extra to go on with. But like definitely we definitely were pushed into that world faster than most would be. But I have no regrets.
No.
And again, sorry, was it worth it? So I think that, and then definitely like I definitely different sections I've gone through. Healthy Daragh, not healthy Daragh. Eating very well, eating very poorly, and then like just throwing in the back burner. Now with starting Magnate and everything, I definitely have taken my health into my hands, and I've done a pretty good job. But I want to maintain that, because getting it started, I think it's difficult. Maintaining it's easier. But yeah, I would sacrifice everything and get all over again. No problem.
Yeah, like I don't live in regret. Neither do you. Like I'm like made my choices and I went through the journey I've chose to walk, and I do not have any regret.
No, me neither.
I only have learnings that
Yeah.
I will take and bring on to my next chapters.
Totally. Okay, 2 quick fire questions. What do your friends think about your success, and do you have a lot of friends? I know it's already been answered, but just...
Yeah, what do my friends think about success? They probably love it now. The guys that I know or want them to know my success, they appreciate it and support me from 0 to 100 from 2018. The guys that have only recently started trying to become friends with me, just are doing it because they feel like it's a good bet, it's a good horse to run with, and I know that, so I'm like trying to separate myself from any of those interactions. But look, for me, the most important is what I think of my success and what my family thinks of my success in return as well. I don't really, care for what my friends think, but few people have supported us and for me from the get-go and from zero, and they would have always asked about how you're getting on, whatever. But we've learned from the start, a lot of times, people will try to fish for information about, are you up or down?
Yeah.
If you have a nice car, geez, he must be doing very well for himself, so kind of job. So I think we've been through that. I'm not really worried about that stuff anymore. I remember one of my friends goes, I was like, Eric, I was buying my first a nice car, and his name was Eric. I was like, Eric, I want to buy this really nice car, and I was like, will people think and he's like, hey, Eric, doesn't matter what people think, they'll hate you anyways, whether you show up with an 08 Porsche or a 2024 Porsche, they'll hate you anyways, doesn't matter, so buy the goddamn nice car and let them talk, let them always talk. It's it doesn't matter what you buy. So but yeah, do I have a lot of friends? No, I don't. Can't count them on one hand.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I don't have a lot of friends. All my friends would be in one hand as well. I have no grievances with that, because it's interesting. I always just look at my schedule and I go, right, I'm working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I have my mornings are gone to work. My evenings I come home from training. I'm mentally exhausted and physically exhausted the few times a week I train. And then I'm like, I have my evenings weekdays, my evening Saturday evening, and I have all the Sunday. And I usually spend Sunday with Amy. So it's like where do you want to fit things in?
Yeah.
Whenever
I'm free, I just text you. I'm like, coffee? Question mark? And you're like, 20 minutes. Great. Meet you somewhere in Galway. Meet you somewhere in Dublin. You're in Dublin. I'm in Dublin. We'll just meet up, hang out, and then we'll walk on.
Yeah.
It's just perfect because we both understand that we're busy.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and there's no feelings about it.
No.
And again, that's why I really, when I'm with family, I try and be very focused, and if I'm with any friends, I try and be as present as I can be. I'll always try and and you think you're the same now. You're like, if you're with someone, you try
phone
and be
down, present.
Because again, if you're only gonna be there for a
quality
while,
interactions.
and really walk away feeling good, and they feel good, because it's important that's Absolutely. A two-way thing. Last one. Do you guys have a net worth? Who makes more money?
Do we have a net worth? I think everyone has a net worth.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship net worths are kind of subjective as well.
Yeah, they are. Do minuses count?
Like Donald Trump, who said he was with a woman back in the 90s in New York, and he points at the
that homeless man has got more money than me.
That man is worth $900 million more than me. She's like, what do you mean? You're a billionaire. He's like, I have $900 million in debt over my head. Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, of course we have a net worth. I mean, net worth is on paper, and then what's in the bank is totally separate. And I would say that my mindset is actually my net worth. Is how much am I willing to push myself into growth and to opportunities I've never been in. I'm too young to talk about my net worth. It's when I'm like 30, 35, Wikipedia stuff, perfect to display it there. Until then, it's just going to be, probably on paper going forward. So hopefully a few exits coming up in the next little while, Ian. So we've got a good couple of deals in September, so I'm happy. and who makes more money now or future, I don't know, but it's it's a funny question. I knew it'll come up at one time, so I think we both make good money to live right now, and then we're both on the trajectory to make more money to give others a chance in succeeding in their entrepreneurship journey. So very PR answer. Thank you.
Brilliant PR answer. Yeah, no, and again, that's what you can even say. It's really seasons in entrepreneurship of like, I'm starting a new venture, so I'm making less money off that business.
100%.
But again, and the interesting piece in all this is that like, the one I really focus on, and I'm not even giving this as a PR answer, I really mean it, is like, I want to be the best entrepreneur I can be, and the byproduct of being an excellent entrepreneur and having all the great skills.
Yeah, but like your mission as well is like you want to get there without too much more personal sacrifice in terms of health. Like you're like, I will still show up to the gym, I will still work out, and I want to be successful. And you're playing this 10-year game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm not playing the 10-year game, but I'm hyper focused for the last couple of months, and I'm going to continue to be hyper focused next few months.
Yeah.
So I will have shorter, much better / faster results.
Totally.
But that just comes at my thing of I'm just putting all my time into this.
Yeah.
So it's like, depend on what percentage of gas are you putting in, right?
Totally.
So but
you've also hit it in the market though, so you're at a really strong
100%.
position. Like when Magnate starts revenue generating and I have some hits and big opportunities, will everything drop to the wayside to go make it happen? Absolutely.
100%.
I'm in a different season right now.
And you also own most of the business.
Yeah.
So like you've got most of the dough and equity there. Yeah. So like whenever you're valued $100 million, I mean that's so
and this is the game of net worth. Is like every day of the week. Especially in tech. It's just like it's all.
I would say both of us have a very good net worth for 23 and 24.
We do, yeah.
Like very good net worth. So I'm happy with what I have. Can't complain.
Yeah. And again, enough to pay the bills.
Enough to pay the bills is right.
Brilliant. Okay. Yeah.
Well, if you've made it out this far, thank you very much for listening to Built From Scratch podcast with Erik and Daragh, where we're bringing you weekly episodes of our learnings, any value shares, doing some fun things like we reacted to Dragon's Den episodes a few weeks ago, doing transition year student questions, and we're thinking about a few more things to discuss on this podcast. We're available on all platforms, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, everything. So make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us. And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Thank you.